Welcome everyone to another DET session. It's great to see you all here. We've had a long weekend in the US, so Bitcoin has mostly been range bound over the weekend. Fairly large range though. It has been pumping up and selling off. We'll get straight into the charts. Actually, I might just share my screen. All right, so as we can see, pretty much been ranging. So right about there, Saturday 10 a.m. That's the Friday close for me. Came down with a dump to 5,600, and then grinded the remainder of the weekend up. And on Monday US UK time, we sort of were playing around with this 52,500 level, which was last night for me, and sold off since then. It was struggling quite a bit around this 52,500 level. I was actually scalping throughout all this entire range, and I was noticing that there was a large entity putting in massive shorts around that 52,500. They sort of had about 100. This is on futures leveraged. They had 100 Bitcoin order limit chucked in at around 52,490, and then a second order at around 52,510, 52,520 for about 120 Bitcoin. And every time that it went up and part of his order got filled, the price dumped immediately. Same thing happened here, dumped immediately. So I don't think, I just stuffed up me bloody. This is the shit thing about charting on your phone. I don't necessarily think that he was selling his Bitcoin. I think he was creating a large position because it came back up and the orders appeared again. They got filled. Came back up. The orders appeared again. They got filled, and it's had 1, 2, 3, and now we're starting to see a bit more of a deeper dump.
I mean, it's also a national holiday over in America today because it's President's Day. So that's obviously going to affect the kind of the more traditional market, as in NYE, because I think that's shut today, along with a host of other markets. I'm sure you'll correct me if I'm wrong. But in terms of kind of the range that we're seeing at the moment, I mean, it did obviously spike down to 51.7, like you said. It's hovering around kind of the 51.8. 3.5, 350 range at the moment. And it is slowly picking up. I mean, normally by this time of night, there's more kind of long orders. Obviously, with Silicon Valley comes normally about an hour and a half ago, and you can see kind of normally the liquidity starts coming into the market. But we're not seeing kind of the massive orders that we normally are, or I normally see on Stormgain, Binance, etc. today. It does seem kind of, like you said, relatively stable within that range frame at the moment.
Yeah, I think that we're sort of starting to turn a little bit to start experiencing a bit of a retrace. However, I still think that there is upside left. So what I'm looking at the moment is price sort of coming down to this golden pocket here around 51,350, 51.3, and then returning back up potentially. It can nuke straight through there. We've spent a lot of time up here. Short positions are obviously been filling up, but the reason why I do think we can continue higher is we've got the wick from the high we haven't touched around 50% of that level, which sits around 52,750. But even more interesting is since we did hit that high on, that would have been Thursday for you guys, we've had this entire range being played, and there will be a shit ton of liquidity in this area above. I struggle to think that market makers and the large entities are going to let everyone that's been shorting here with stops up here get away with just a dump, making big dollars. And we can jump into CoinGlass and just have a little bit of a look. So as we can see here, that there's a fairly strong yellow mark around that 52,950 mark. And on the 3-day view, it's actually pretty much where there's the highest concentration of liquidity sitting right now. So I think that could get taken out first before we start seeing a larger correction sort of take place. Yeah, on the weekly, it's even more prevalent. And the price can stop I think that's just a good way of a good technical way of the price manipulating and grabbing the liquidity before heading in the direction that it wants to go in. And we've also got some other signs of. Oh, I'll just jump into this one first, actually. So the shorts have been building up. The other day, this was down at, I think it was around 300 mil or something like that. So now it's doubled. It's up around 770 mil. And this is just Binance, this chart here. I don't think necessarily we're going to get up to 54.7. But yeah, around that 53.2, 53.1 would be a pretty nice level for it. For the price to grab liquidity, take out the high leverage players. That's what I'm sort of thinking would be a good scenario for Bitcoin at the moment. And we do have signs that we are starting to roll over. Typically, when Bitcoin's finished its uptrend cycle, you see the money rotate around, goes from Bitcoin into Ethereum, into alts. We've definitely seen that with Ethereum at the moment. How it's just been on a bit of a tirade going up. Even this bloody chart's changed on me too, I think. I don't know. Yeah, so Ethereum's obviously showing a fair bit of strength at the moment. It's been on the weekly, going up for 4 weeks straight now. I think it wants to hit this $3,000 mark, and that 786 is actually drawn from this high back in March 2022 to the low, and that's how I got that 786 there. The 50% level that we're just hovering above at the moment is from the all-time high to the cycle low, or the bear market low. So there's quite a bit of resistance in this zone. I don't know if you guys have got like whale trackers on Twitter. I'm seeing large amounts of Ethereum flowing into the exchanges. Also seeing some large outflows from exchanges as well. But it's just a matter of time before it starts rolling over, I think. If it can get above this $3,000 mark, there's no reason why it can't get up here to that around $3,500 mark pretty quickly.
Where do you think the rollover or the retrace will take it back to? Do you think it will be kind of like the 2,800 level? or do you think that it will be more of a deeper kind of retrace down to about 2.5? Because we've seen a lot of strength, you know, at the moment. Do you think this is kind of the peak for this at the moment before it goes again, or do you think, as I said, it will go through to that kind of, magic 3,250 to 3,500 range at the moment, and then have a retrace back down or a rollover back down to about 3,125, where it will become the new market marker? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it depends where the top comes in at. If we call 3,000 the top, I'd say probably around this 2,200 level. Worst case around $2,000. That's going to be a very heavy pullback. That's over 50%. But it would be great confirmation and a good foundation for these tops here, to solidify that they have flipped to support. We did get a test here before it sort of took off again, but it would just further cement it, I think. Even just around that 22.40, something like that. However, if we start going up to then the targets start moving up, and these are sort of like worst case scenario targets as well. It actually looks a bit better for a retrace to the golden pocket too, if it did go up to that 3,500, because the golden pocket then becomes that 22.50 level. So at the moment for Ethereum, I doubt we're going to see below 1940 again. It's going to have to take something pretty significant to occur to get down to there. And I guess the other thing that we got to sort of remember is that we are in a bull market. Expectation, or my general expectation, is up. Trying to predict and plan how far a price is going to come down is a bit of a dangerous game. It's similar to when we're in the bear market, and it's like, oh, we're going to get a bounce. Where are we going to bounce to? This is probably where the highest point I think we're going to bounce to, but whether we get there's another story. But the general idea is that we're going to be going down.
I mean, all I'm doing is playing devil's advocate. Because we both went through the last kind of cycle. I'm just trying to kind of share your thinking on this, and also share some kind of the evidence-based outcome approach that both of us have around taking kind of either clip trading, day trading, swing trading, and to show all the possibilities around the reason why we think this as well. To help with the methodology.
Well, 50% or 30% retrace is definitely, and I should correct myself before when I was saying coming down to around that 21.50, it's about a 30% retrace. We could definitely see it. Like when we look at where we've come from this high low here, it's 2x, pretty much to where we are. So to say that we can come down 30% is probably realistic. Doesn't mean it has to happen, but we have to be open to that. Crypto is a bit of the Wild West, and you've got to expect these large volatile moves to both the upside and the downside, particularly in the pre-halving part of the cycle. We can have I just wanted to touch. We've done Bitcoin and Ethereum. Actually, I'll just jump back into Bitcoin for a second. So we have to ignore the fibs at the moment because it looks a bit messy when we're looking out on this zoomed out chart. So at the moment, how things sit, I think the floor price sits at around 34K. That's where I'm at the moment. That's the cycle low of 15.5. A fib drawn from down there to the current high. We are yet to dip below the 50% level since we've made the low. So yeah, if you're hoping to get under 35k more or less, or under 34k, I would not be banking on it. Can we get down to this golden pocket here? Yep, certainly can. Definitely possible, but anywhere below that, I don't think so. I'll be pretty confident in saying that we won't see below that line again. In saying that, we are due for a pullback, and I sort of thought we need to spend a bit more time below 40k, but given where this 50% level is, it's giving it a fairly tight range of about 5k if we were to get below 40k. I probably would have liked to have seen us spend a bit more time in this zone, but that's obviously not going to happen anymore. There was no structure built there, so that's sort of where I'm at. Going to have a pullback. It's just a matter of where does it stop. 44k is a very important level to hold. So, but basically, when I'm looking at this on the weekly, I'm looking for where has there not been any structure built. So there's very little in this 44 to 50k range. So we'll end up spending a bit of time here. Might be next week, might be next month, whatever. But I expect us to spend a bit of time in there. I expect us to spend a bit more time in the range that we're probably currently in. And in this level here, from around 40k to 38k as well, we could spend a bit of time in there too. So that's just playing around with fibs and projections and looking at where there's been price action occur. To put it a little bit more into context, you can see in this period here, whilst there is some long candles, we eventually ended up playing in a lot of the ranges. There isn't too many untapped ranges. Like you look at the range high here where my cursor is, then we played these ranges above it. We go to the low point, and we played in the ranges below it over here. So it sort of fills in these long weeks just to fill up grab the liquidity, change Bitcoin's hands more or less. That's just sort of where we sit at the moment. I guess to the upside, we still have the 786 above. It's unlikely, I think, that we get there at the moment. We will get there at some point, but I just think it's too soon. I'm very keen to see where the monthly close finishes up. I suspect that it's going to be well above this 50% level, which is sort of something that I was saying won't happen. But we have to be open to calling ourselves out when we could be wrong, and being open to other ideas. So at the moment, I'm definitely open to other ideas, and if we do close well and truly above it, then I think we're going to be experiencing an accelerated cycle, more or less, where we start hitting the targets that we would have previously hit over a longer period of time in a shorter period of time. So I'm going to wait for the monthly close, see how that looks, and then make some adjustments to what my crystal ball is moving forward. I did just want to touch on some stocks before we get into the altcoin market. So UK's in recession, as a lot of you guys are from that region, but the market does not give a rat's ass. It's actually embracing it and going green since the news came out. And we've seen this time and time again over the last 18 months. The US was allegedly in recession, although the government was saying that they're not, based on jobs data. And they've gone on to make massive gains. The DAX in Germany was called to be in a recession in, I think it was May last year, and they breached all-time high levels. I think it was about 5 times throughout the course of the year.
Didn't the German economy just pass Japan as the fourth biggest as well? Did I just misread that this week? Because I know Japan are kind of like they're in a recession at the moment, and I think Germany did overtake them, didn't they? In terms of kind of
GDP.
yeah, GDP.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. They very well could have. But that's good that you mentioned Japan, because we'll jump into them next. So UK is in recession, so we know what that means. All-time highs are coming, because that's what happens when we're in recessions. I hope you guys can note my sarcasm, although all-time highs are coming. And we'll go into the Japanese markets. They're also in a recession, so yeah, why not? We'll just go green. Now, this red horizontal line here is something very special in the economic world. It's not special outside of that, really, but we're on a 6-month chart here. It is on the cusp of breaking its all-time high that was set back in the 1989-1990 period. So I think for me, that's just something crazy to look at, to watch. It's been on a parabolic run since 2006, just straight up. Pretty crazy to look at. They've got the highest debt to GDP ratio in the world of any leading nation, but it doesn't care. It keeps on moving. Yeah, it's pretty crazy to see in my mind. And it's even more crazy to read about recessions, comments, and things like that when they might be a technical recession, but they're very minute, and it's already happened. I think for the UK, it was the last 2 quarters of the year they were saying had negative growth. It was like 0.3%, followed by 0.1% negative growth, and that's a recession. Whilst it might be a technical recession, it's actually very minor, and it doesn't really deserve the fame that it gets, in my opinion. So that's where the stocks are sitting at the moment. We'll just have a, where is it? SPX. So I think with SPX, it looks like it's starting to roll over a little bit now. You know, it has been on a bit of a wild run up, as we had discussed was going to happen, but it has happened, which is great. Now I think it's going to start rounding out up here, and we're going to start looking for a bit of a retrace. First level that we're keen to watch is down here at 4,800. We could get a bounce and a continuation just from there, to be honest, or we could experience a bit more of a deeper retrace, which I think is probably a little bit more likely, just because of how long we have been running up for. It's good to have a bit of a breather, and I think the SPX wants to gear up for the second half of the year as well. So whilst this has been up, we might get a bit more of a bleed coming back before it takes off again. In any situation, I think the general direction is up, and that's the thing at the moment. We're the part of the land cycle that we're in. It's an everything bull market. Everything is going up. Stocks are going up. Crypto is going up. Land values are going up across the globe. Maybe not completely, absolutely everywhere, but certainly in a lot of places, especially in leading nations that follow the US and their economy. I'll just jump into some alts now. I actually will do Bitcoin dominance just quickly. So we're seeing a bit of a pullback. It popped past this trend line, but has since come back below it. What looks different here is that these were very much V-shape rejections, as we can see. Even this little little jump up was a V-shape rejection, another V-shape rejection. This one looks to be a bit more rounded out. That brings me with a little bit of caution that it is a bit different to what's happened here. So could we see it come down to this level at 52.8, which has acted as support, was acting as resistance. We even have a bit of structure back here around the 52.8 level as well. So could we come down to the 52.8 and then perhaps have a bounce up? I think that will catch a lot of people off guard. Seeing on Twitter a lot of people calling for alt season, load your bags up, we're going, we're ready to go. There's also a very positive funding rates across the crypto board at the moment. It's very heavy. So there's a lot of money expecting alts to go boom. Some already have, quite a few have, but I think their expectations of the alt season is a lot higher than what it actually may come out to be. So at the moment, I'm just interested in watching what happens here at 52.8. Well, thereabouts. So say between 52.45 to 52.8, and seeing if it gets a bit of a bounce from there. If it does, we could be coming up into this zone up here. Or if it breaks below, then we're going to expect us to come down to that 51 level, give or take, and we'll reassess from there. We'll see what happens. I think that coming up to this level here, it really depends on Bitcoin. If we are in a bit of an accelerated cycle, we will see this come quite a bit sooner than just sort of putting in these lower highs on the dominance down to past the halving and then coming up post halving. We could see that a lot sooner if Bitcoin is on an accelerated cycle. So interesting to see how this plays out, I think.
Yeah, I mean, do you think because of the accelerated cycle, down to probably kind of ETFs, and that side of things, do you think we will see a higher high with BTC? Because you got to think at the moment we didn't expect to see kind of the highs of 52 at this time of year. I mean, generally it was thought it was going to be kind of like towards the end of April or possibly from what I've read. Do you think that, I mean, we both said around kind of BTC would hit about 95 to 100,000. Are you still in the ballpark figure of that, or are you looking at slightly more speculative to kind of like a higher high of 110, 115? What are your thoughts on that at the moment? I mean,
Yeah.
do you think
So I've got a few
prices
things.
have changed due to what you've seen over kind of the last kind of like month, or are you still rigid around that kind of price structure yourself?
I've got a few comments on this. So I don't think that this price movement is strictly due to the ETF. Whilst it has brought in a vast amount of money into Bitcoin, into crypto, every bull cycle has something that happens, that occurs, that helps drag the market up. This time around, it's the ETFs. Last time it was Tesla's buying Bitcoin. So I don't think that is the reason that the whole reason necessarily. The reason why I think we could potentially be in an accelerated cycle, and it's not confirmed yet. We need to see how Fed closes out first before I'm happy to sort of put my hat on it. But if we are in an accelerated cycle, I'm more inclined to attribute this to the land cycle. And because with the land cycle, we're in the parabolic, we're coming into the parabolic years. All the stock markets are going nuts at the moment. I don't believe Bitcoin has experienced a bull market when everything's going up together at the same time. In that being land, stocks from a lot of leading nations, and even some of the smaller nations. I mean, Brazil hit all-time highs a few weeks ago as well, and we're getting some of the lesser or smaller countries also booming too. So based on that, I actually did post up last year my targets for Bitcoin, and they were considerably higher than 80 to 100K. But I did post that up in premium, so I think for now I might leave that in there. But the range that I had it at is, I think it was between 140K and 250K. I do have a lot more specific numbers, but that's probably best kept in premium for now, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I remember kind of the conversation, and I'm just playing devil's advocate around kind of because I can remember the day that happened, when Elon Musk, pumped the market up by what I think it's $5,000 just in one day with BTC with Tesla.
Yeah.
I made an absolute fortune, and I remember it well. But again, it's just kind of the way the market structure is at the moment, like you said. It's crypto has never seen anything like this. There are multiple different factors coming into play for kind of like a perfect storm at the moment. And it's really interesting to kind of see where this is going to happen, how it's going to happen, what the retrace could be, around kind of certain expectations at the moment. And again, it's sharing the knowledge for people who haven't been around through the last bull run, and sharing the experience and also sharing the thought process around what we're seeing, as a day trader, as myself, as a swing trader, as yourself, etc., etc. Just so people can have a different expectation around kind of how the market's going to perform, what to expect on a micro level, on a macro level, on a monthly level. Over the next kind of like 8 to 9 months till we hit kind of like the top of the bull run, or maybe a bit longer, 14 months, depending on kind of how the market kind of resets itself through the next kind of like 2 3 months, especially after halving. What that figure, what that key KPI key figure was, what the kind of the market mark is going to be, and then how we progress from that straight into the kind of hopefully by then the full kind of bull run as well.
Yeah, so historically, or at least in the last two cycles, Bitcoin didn't break above the bear market 50% level and close well and truly above it on a monthly time frame until about 3 to 4 months post halving. So that would put it at around June, July. With that, it also didn't break the all-time high until, I think it's around between 7 or 6, between 7 and 10 months post halving is when Bitcoin has broken its all-time high in the last two cycles. So that probably puts it at around the earliest, being November, based on history. So as a starting point, I'd be using that as a guide to what to expect. But this February monthly close is very important because we are significantly above the 50% level at the moment. I do think that we are going to have a retrace, but I am quite a skeptic that we're going to get back below that level, or at least close to it, before the monthly close is out, which changes how we need to sort of look at things. And it's going to bring some of those targets forward a bit. I do still think that the all-time high will get broken in the second half. I don't think it'll come in the first half of this year. It may just come in, I don't know, maybe September or October. They are typically down months, that August, September period. We did experience that last year as well. But where things are a bit different, we got the presidential election in November, I believe. We are in an everything bull market. I think we're going to see the US stocks pull back earlier on this year, before they start going crazy towards the middle, or towards the back end of the year, leading into the election. So they like people's pockets, but being full come that time of year. So for me, it's really need to just sit and wait and see what happens with February, and then go to the drawing board and assess what do we have. Because we are really on a bit of a teetering point at the moment. If Bitcoin does come down to, say, 43K, I would say that that's pretty close for me to sort of stick with what's happened in the prior cycles. Maybe things might happen a month earlier than what it previously has. But given where it's come from, you have to be a little bit lenient with the price action. So, yeah, I'm just really going to sit back and see what happens over the next sort of 10 days and go from there.
Cool. Shall we jump into the alts? Where do you want to start? Obviously, there's near sweat. Worldcoin has just gone parabolic over the last kind of like week. Where do you fancy starting, my friend?
I'll jump into sweat to begin with. So last time we caught up, we were sort of hovering, I think it was around here. Well, everything was a bit boring, sideways, on low volume. And now we're starting to see it. The volume's starting to pick up a little bit. I did suggest that we could be in a bit of an accumulation period. That's typically what happens when the price drops right off and we just get some boring price action. Now it's starting to see a bit of upside here, but we're struggling to break out, which is a little bit of a concern. We're not breaking out above these closes. We're getting wicks above there, but we're not sustaining it. So really want to see where it start to pick up and get some closes above some of these wicks. For me, it's around the 115 is fairly key level to get above. We even struggled back here on the massive high volume. I think once we can start getting some closes above this 115 area, we can start to see some movement. We really don't want to tip out of this channel too much. If we can avoid it, that'd be great. Although if you're still looking to pocket some more sweat, it could bring about an opportunity for you. But all in all, there's still time and patience needed to be had for sweat. I'll have a quick look at NIA. Where is NIA? Up here. So NIA's having a bit of a struggle at the moment. It's stuck in between two 50% levels, and they are drawn. This one down here, this 50%, and these two fibs is the cycle, the low to the high, and then the ones above are drawn from the high to this low. So breaking this one here has less importance. It's to the upside. Our general expectation is for NIA to go up. It's also not. Whilst being a high time frame fib, it's not as high a time frame as what these ones down here are. So above this 50% level is bullish, or NIA is going to be strong. And in the short term, below this 50% level, it's sort of short term weak. So at the moment, very much in indecisiveness. I have got the fibs drawn here with a couple of yellow markers where I think we're going to come into some resistance. So it's just a bit of a waiting game, I think. We do have some accumulation time left for the alts. Yeah, I think it's looking good overall. Market structure's looking good. We really don't want to see these lows here get taken out. We can come down and get a double bottom, but we really don't want to be going lower than these bottoms over here. So that's near. Was there anything that you guys wanted me to look at specifically? I think you had mentioned Worldcoin, Simon.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about this when it first came out. I mean, it was a horrific drop off, and the liquidity which has just come in over the last 7 days has been mammoth. It's literally jumped up, I think, from $1.92 to I think it touched $8 today. It's been it's just been on fire. I mean, it's like 33% on most days at the moment, and that's just for kind of day trading. It's just it's stellar. No,
It'll come back down. They always do, to some degree. It's a matter of where.
It's been like a UMA to a certain extent. I can remember a couple of weeks ago, that went from $4, I think, up to about $7.35. I think with the lack of market structure around world dollar, the world token. It's been strange to see because I mean it has been such a cliff face in terms of rocket. In terms of where the liquidity is coming in and where the buying action is coming in as well, because there's no history, it's just surprising how high it's gone. It will come down massively, and then if this is just a pump and dump through liquidity grab through a couple of whales, this is what I'm looking for at the moment. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's gonna come back, but I don't think it's gonna necessarily dump to zero. We can just have a bit of a play here, please. Fib. This is very rough drawn fibs, but we'll deal with it. So when we had this pump up, it did get below the 618, but we can use that as a bit of a guide. So for the current pump, provided it doesn't go much higher, we could expect it to come back down to this 618 level. Basically, it's these tops here at about $4, which would be a fairly significant retrace from where it is at the moment. But it's still well and truly above where it was. The thing with Worldcoin, and it's interesting because it's got 10 billion tokens in total. So at the moment, its fully diluted valuation's like $73 billion, which is something that I sort of got hung up on. And I didn't do any research into Worldcoin. I just saw that and thought, this thing's rubbish. It's going to $1, which it did. So I got that right. But I haven't given it any other attention since then. However, it's the vast majority of those 10 billion coins are getting released over, I think it's the next 10 years or 15 years, something to that effect. It's like 10 to 15 years. They're getting linearly released over that period of time. So it is pretty big, but I think you're probably better to maybe not necessarily give the fully diluted valuation so much what's the word, importance without knowing when is it going to hit the market and be at that fully diluted valuation level. So typically a lot of coins have like a 2, 3, maybe a 4-year vested schedule, and at the end of that 4 years everything's going to be unlocked. World token or coin, whatever it's called, it's 10 to 15 years, so it's fairly long. I might just jump into coin market cap because its current market cap is actually quite a bit lower. I'm going to load. Oh, there it is. I think it's only sitting at about $1 billion, which isn't anything to be sneezed at, but there's quite a few around that mark. Yeah. So it's sitting at $1 billion after the pump that it's been experienced, which is a lot more reasonable. So, and yeah, circulating supply is at 1.3% of the total supply. So when you look at these figures, that's when it starts to get scary. You're like, oh, holy shit. There's 98.7% of these tokens are going to get dumped on me. Yeah, you're right. They're going to get dumped on you, but slowly. So, was there any tokens that you guys wanted me to have a look at? I haven't been in here once, to be honest. Baldrick. Yeah, I was thinking about it, mate, but it is like 6:15 in the morning here. Would like to know what you guys think of any new powerful tokens that are underway. That's true, mate. Yeah, so there is a few that I'm watching. They have had some movement. I might go. What do I do here? So there is one that I'm actually invested in. Let me jump into MXC. Can find it in here a bit easier. So it's this one here. It's called HDN. It's Hydranet. It's a little bit of a gem, if you call it that. So it's currently had a pullback. It's had a decent pump up. It's been trading before this point at lower levels. Got 300 mil tokens. It's a layer 3 DEX on Arbitrum. They've got a pretty decent Discord where there's lots of chatter. There's weekly updates as to what they're up to, what they're doing. Yeah, if you're interested in some low cap gems, I'd recommend having a bit of a look at this one, Hydranet. Personally, I am invested in it. I'm sitting in a little bit of profit at the moment. I think my average entry is around 0.08, maybe slightly less. I'll jump on CoinMarketCap as well. So it's got a pretty small market cap. It's only 13 mil. Half the supply is already out there. I've been invested in this for maybe about a month or maybe a little bit more, 2 months now. They've already had 3 DAO votes since I've been part of it. So yeah, I mean, there's some information here about what it's about. If you're interested and want to join like the Discord that they're in, just feel free to flick me a message and I'm happy to share that to you. But please carry out your own research. Don't get into something because I'm in it. This is just one of the ones that I've kept my eyes on, that I've jumped into, that I'm quite keen on. So, and there is a couple Simons and Mujis in there as well. Not literally, but there is a couple whales inside the Hydranet server that have got an absolute shit ton of the token, like millions of it. Yeah, I have in premium. I have spoken about a lot of low cap alts that I'm keen on, and there is a couple others that I have invested in as well that I'm holding. Actually, one of them we did an AMA with is Fonchain. I did end up getting a bag of that. I think my average entry is around $2.40, something to that effect. And it recently just hit an all-time high at $5.50. So that's going great guns. They've recently come out with staking as well, probably about a month ago, I think it was. Just over a month ago, they came out with staking. So, yeah, Foncoin's doing pretty good too. There is one that I will talk about. We did an AMA with him as well. It was Canxium, or I don't even know how to fucking say it. The guy kept correcting me when I was, but yeah, I was pretty disappointed in the AMA that they held with us. And prior to the AMA, I was very keen. I was actually looking to grab a bag, but then after doing the AMA, it sort of put me off a bit, and I took the back seat on it. As in the sign there.
There is another token which I'll quickly touch on, which I'm quite heavily invested in. There is a game coming out called Nemesis Downfall. One of my friends, who's the co-founder, is they have Pancake involved. It's going to be on their ecosystem. I'm trying to get Bav in between all of his media duties to XYZ to possibly allow us to do an AMA. I think it'd be best for him to come on board and explain who, what, why, and kind of everything around kind of tokenomics and everything else. It's a really interesting project, especially with kind of being within the Pancake system ecosystem, and that's going to be all on chain. And who else they've got involved. And I'm going to leave it on that one until I can confirm some details about what I can say and what I can't say at the moment with him. But watch the space on this one, because it's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, so just so this is Canxium, fuck, whatever, however you say it, and it's just gone bonkers since it's been listed on MEXC. It was trading between say $1.50 and $3.50 before and after the AMA that we did with them. But yeah, got listed on MEXC as they said that they were, and it's just gone nuts. So you can't get them all, but it is good to know that projects are doing well out there. They actually got quite high volume, like $1 million in volume. MEXC is known for a bit of wash trading, especially when they have the zero fees going on. But either way, it is quite a bit. We did have a comment in here. Near is having an infrastructure gap issue. I wonder if that's affecting things. Yeah, it could be. It could be. Wouldn't surprise if it's having some sort of an effect. So, but it has been. It did have quite a decent run up to get to that $4.70 mark, I think it was. So the fact that it's cooled off and is accumulating again, it's not a bad thing. It's actually quite good. The next run might see it go to $12 or something to that effect. So yeah, that's right, Baldrick. That's right. It is funny. Like normally you get the best news comes out about tokens or Bitcoin or whatever it might be, even in stocks, the best news gets airtime at the tops, and the worst news gets airtime at the bottoms. It's just a funny way of working. So, like here in Australia at the moment, we just made our all-time high. I think it was last week, and over the weekend, I was reading on the news website, and the headline article was "Looming Recession for Australia as Japan and UK enters recession," and it's like, really? Yeah, you still could get an opportunity, Baldrick. I'll be there. I'll hold your hand through that process because I want to get some more as well. But anyway, guys, with that, I think we might call that a wrap, and yeah, we'll schedule something for perhaps next week. Until then, stay safe, take care of yourself. If you do have any questions or if you do have any questions or want to have a chat, you can just hit me up any time. don't have to necessarily wait for these live sessions to ask questions or have a chat. I'm happy to jump in voice chat whenever. So, Tony, good to see you, Tony. Take it easy, guys.
Take it easy, guys.